If you feel that you need to interrupt me to ask a question, please feel free. I want this to be very interactive, and I'm able to touch on anything that you may want me to say or to give advice on or want to talk about. I have no problems with that. Okay. First of all, let me start off with my journey. My name is Travis Edgecombe, and I have a company called Edgecombe Management, and I handled public relations. I do public relations, and I manage also public figures, small businesses, and I help out with organizations as well. Public relations. So this is how I got started. In 2014, I did a internship class with at UB, where I was studying media journalism. I first was studying culinary, and then I said, you know what, after a year, I'm done with this. I don't like this. So I switched to mass communications because I wanted to do radio. After I did radio and I wanted to switch over, I realized that they only had a 2-year associate's program for mass communications. So what I did was, the dean at the time told me that they were about to make the program a bachelor's program, which encouraged me to stay for the full 4 years. And I was able to obtain a degree in media journalism. I wanted to do radio. I had no interest to go into the Guardian or the Tribune or ZNS, Cable 12, JCN, none of those things. I had no interest. So I had to figure out what is it that I was going to do once I obtained this degree. So in my internship, they gave us a list of places for us to go to our internship, and I did it in the summer, and it was for 7 weeks. And I chose the counselors, and that has been, working at the counselors has been the groundbreaking part of my career in terms of learning everything about public relations. As a matter of fact, the counselors was where I fell in love with public relations, because I was introduced to all the aspects of the business. I was able to appear on Bahamas at Sunrise. I was able to assist with You and Your Money. I was able to be a part of certain projects and campaigns that included me to do press releases, news segments for Bahamas at Sunrise, news segments for me to distribute to the media, et cetera, et cetera. So I really, really would like to thank Ms. Joan Albright for giving me the opportunity and the chance, and for hiring me to be a part of that experience. Okay, so let's get started. Public relations. If you look at the word public relations, you think automatically public, and also relations with one another. So public relations is the professional maintenance of favorable public image by a company or other organization or famous person and the public. So when I got into public relations, I was like, well, what does this all entail? So I had to learn that if I have a client, and if they had a product, or if they had an event, or if they had, if it was a public figure and they needed some information to get out to the public, it was my responsibility as a public relations officer to make sure that the information that the client would like to get out was disseminated through the media. So my responsibility was to get as much information from the client in terms of making sure that everything was in place in terms of the time, the place, what it was they wanted me to sell to the public, what it was they wanted me to distribute, pricing, tickets, whatever, whether it's an event, whether it was a concert, whether it's a conference, whatever it was my responsibility to get that information out to the public, all right? So what is the responsibility of PR? When you're in PR, you have to convince your audience. You have to convince your audience of whatever it is that you want them to engage in. So whether it's promoting an idea, whether you're purchasing a product, whether you support a position or recognizing an accomplishment, this is what the responsibility of public relations is. So let me elaborate on that a little bit more. For example, if someone pitches out to the public and says, who would want to attend a concert featuring Adele, Beyonce, or Jay-Z? And you were able to get a response from your buyer or your future buyer or your potential buyer, and you say, okay, I would go see that. Of course, we go see that because it's Adele, it's Beyonce, and it's Jay-Z. So let me bring it here locally. How many of you would want to go and see Wendy, Dyson, Julian Believe, Rick Carey on a platform? So you get that statistical data for your client in terms of making sure that if I want to do this, I'm going to get the response and I'm going to get the revenue that I'm looking for. So in public relations, that also is an aspect that you have to venture into as well. Research is very, very important in public relations. PR also tells stories. You are a storyteller. If I have a campaign, for example, when I worked with the counselors, I had the opportunity to do a campaign for social services where they had a RISE program. I don't know if how many of you remember that. It was a RISE program, a CCT program that was able to assist persons who were not financial, who were unemployed and was financially deprived at the moment. So they were able to give these credit cards, and they partnered with BOB. So during the 3-month campaign of that program, I was able to write press releases. I was able to travel to the various family islands because each aspect of the campaign was released in phases. So the first island I went to was Andros, and then I went to Eleuthera, and then I went to Exuma, and I was able to record and interview persons that benefited from the RISE program and also the CCT program as well. So that was something that I thoroughly enjoyed, because when you're in PR, you have to be well-rounded. You also have to make sure that everything that is represented by your clients, you know by heart. Secondly, you may ask the question, what tools do you need in terms of using PR? So I write and I distribute press releases. When you're writing a press release, you have to make sure that the press release is filled with all the information that the media would be looking for into making sure, why should I broadcast this on a 7 o'clock news hour or an 8 o'clock news hour? Why would you want this information to be sent out? Whether it's entertainment, whether it's business, whether it's health, whether it's legal affairs, anything of those aspects, you have to make sure you get all of those information. And it also comes sometimes where when you send the information out to the media, they might come back and say, well, we need a little bit more information. So you would go back to your clients and you will ask them a little bit more information. And after you ask them the information that was required from the media, then you're able to put more meat and more flesh into your press release. Secondly, speech writing. Sometimes being in PR, if you're in the field of dealing with an election campaign, if you're in the field of dealing with a debate, sometimes the client might want a speech writer. As a public relations officer, you are sometimes required to do that. So it's excellent enough for you to know the issues of what is going on in the country and also in the world, depending on which campaign that you're working on or which brand campaign that you're working on, in terms of making sure that you have all the information that you need to put into your press release. Secondly, sometimes public relations officers have to deal with stage management. For me, for Edgy management, I just don't do press releases and I don't just manage artists. I also do stage management as well. And sometimes they would want you to manage the stage, manage who goes up on the stage, manage how long the person may be up on stage to speak, manage and shuffle any instant cancellations, quick cancellations that may occur. And you would want to make sure that the event that you are behind the scenes assisting with is running smoothly and able to assist. I see a question coming in. Okay, so this is coming from KB the second. Okay, yes, Catherine. What are the must-know tips for writing press releases for Bahamian media? Okay, the tips of writing for Bahamian media, you would need to find out when. I call them the what, who, where, and why. The what is the event? What is it about? The why is why you're having the event. How is it beneficial to the public? When is the date and the time of how, and the place also, and when persons can go to the event and attend. ticket information, or how can persons be a part of it. That's the when. And I think I covered the what, who, what, when. Oh yes, and the who. Who you are, what you're about, what is your organization, or you as a public figure, or you as a organization. That's the who. Research. Research is important when it comes to public relations, because there are often times when, especially if, like I elaborated to before with the elections, if you are looking for researching information for an election campaign, as you know, the 2022 elections are coming up in the next 2 years. And you may be scouting as a public relation officer to be a part of that campaign, whether it's the FNM, whether it's the PLP, or whether it's for the DNA. They might be vouching or looking or vetting for a public relations officer to handle their campaign to be the best possible officer to carry them through to win an election. So that requires you to do a lot of research in terms of researching the history of that political party, for you to find out who the potential candidates are, who the candidates are. You have to find out the information about the voters and how they feel about the political party. You also have to look at the other political parties and see how their numbers are looking in terms of people supporting them. You have to see where the public's head is. So all of that requires the statistical data and research. So that's very, very important. Networking. The opportunity that I've had in terms of doing networking is that when I had events to cover for the councillors when I worked there, I was able to meet quite a bit of people in terms of persons in government, the business sector, legal, entertainment, health. And once you network and people know who you are, make that connection with them, because you never know when they may need your services. It's very important that you connect with the people who you network with, so that when the time comes that you venture on into your own business, you're able to reach out to them and let them know that I am venturing into my own business and I'm doing public relations, and I would like to offer my services to you. So networking is very important. For my company, Edgy Management, I don't have the full services in terms of video and graphic design. So I'm able to network with other persons in the field who can assist with a business, and every person that you bring in and every connection that you make is able to come together and everybody wins. I'm going to give you this tip. It doesn't make sense being selfish in the field when there's room for everybody to grow, room for everybody to benefit. So if I know that I don't have the expertise, or I don't have the resources to film a commercial or for me to film an event, I can go to a partner, or I can partner with another company that I am able to trust and that is credible, and that I can partner with in terms of making sure that everything that I need to get for this client is done properly, professionally, and it's well done. I'm able to do that. And also, if I need a graphic design, whether it's a single art or album art cover for an artist, whether it's a product brand that I have to get a design for, whether it's a campaign graphic that I have to make sure that I have everything for, whether it's a graphics for a commercial, or graphics for an award show, or graphics for a conference. All of those things I'm able to partner with that graphic artist. And what I'm able to do is that I'm able to introduce that graphic artist to an audience that they've never experienced. And I'm also able to introduce the media company that I am partnered with to an audience that they've never seen before. And once I bring all of us together, we're able to connect, we're able to use all the resources that the client needs to making sure that they get the best out of what they need for their event or their product or their brand, okay? Social media. Social media is an important aspect in public relations. I tell you why. If you have a public figure, a business, an organization, everybody has a like page. Everybody has a like page where whether you have a business, whether you have an organization, or whether you're a public figure, whether you're an artist doing either dancing, singing, producing, whatever it is. Everybody has a Facebook page, whether you could like it or not. And also everybody has an Instagram page and Snapchat and WhatsApp. With my company, I'm able to advertise events and products for my clients daily on WhatsApp, Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook. Now you may wonder, well, that may be very strenuous and tedious, but no. If I need to make sure that I get into the brains of the people who I'm trying to reach, or the demographic of people I'm trying to reach, I'm going to make sure that I post that same entire flyer, that same flyer every single day from Monday to Sunday, so that it's constantly in the vision of the people and the consumer to potentially buy into what I'm promoting, and to also engage into whatever it is I'm promoting as well. So that's very important. Social media, now listen, boosting is very, very important as well. If you're going to boost, make sure that it's done at the right time, make sure it's done on the right day. Usually if I'm going to boost a event or a product, it's either on a Tuesday or a Thursday, say around lunchtime, when everybody is possibly on a break from the workday, or when someone's just taking the time out or taking a break to just scroll through Instagram or scroll through Facebook, and to scroll through Snapchat. So once I'm able to do that, then I'm able to make sure that the product that I'm trying to advertise, or the person I'm trying to advertise, or the organization that I'm trying to advertise, it's in the peripheral of everybody so that they could see it on a regular basis. And you notice that every single day and every Tuesday or Thursday, I would post on social media so that everybody knows what's going on. So that's also very important. Next, building a relationship with the media. Now, I was fortunate enough to have friends who I went to school with and who I call as good friends, able to connect with them at the various media outlets. So whenever I need a press release placed in the newspaper, if I need something played on the news, I'm able to get that way in because of my connection. And that's also a good way of networking as well. Because even though you are doing public relations, it's very, very good for you to go and speak to a reporter that you feel comfortable with in terms of speaking to and making a connection with them, and let them know what your company is about, what you're doing, how you're doing it, and what you need them to play for you. Because when you have a campaign, for example, IAAF, I had the opportunity of doing PR for IAAF, the World Relays. And leading up to the main event, there were a series of press conferences, there were a series of press releases and information that need to go out from a security standpoint, from ticket standpoint, from potential performers performing, from persons that would be coming in to be a part of the races. That information had to be given out strategically and in phases until the event appeared. So with that, there are going to be times where you have to reach out to the media. You have to call up your connects at The Guardian, The Tribune, the Bahama Journal, JCN, the Cable 12, Our News, Eyewitness News, ZNS. And sometimes they will show up, and sometimes they don't show up. Sometimes you will have a whole platter of sandwiches and chips and juice and drinks just to give them something, just taking the time out to come out and just be a part of the press conference. And sometimes only 2 people come up, and sometimes that's okay. Because once you're able to get that information out, you are able to, once you have someone that came out, that means you were worth, or that thing that you wanted to advertise was worth the time for them to come and find out what it was all about. And you could also send the coverage of the press conference to the other media outlet, and you can follow up. Follow up is very important. If you send the media a press release and some footage from an event that you covered from a press conference or an event or something of that sort, you have to follow up. If you don't follow up and you just leave it at that, you're never going to get that product out to the media for persons to view it. You have to follow up. You have to call your connect and find out from them, can I please get you to play it? And sometimes I have to beg, sometimes I have to call, okay, can you please play this on the TV for my client? Can you please do that? And sometimes they might have some more pressing news that is so important that it takes up the whole hour, and it may not be able to appear the day that you want it to do. So if you could keep pushing, keep nagging, That's the only way that you're able to get your story out. You have to be consistent. You have to sometimes be aggressive in order for you to get what you need to get done for your client. Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that your client is happy and they come back for more of your services and also your business. Oh, this is another good one. How to handle PROs. Now, I call them PROs and boo-boos because sometimes you're not always going to get it right. There's going to be times where you're going to make mistakes and you're going to have to clean up some mess that maybe the client made, and sometimes something that you made, a mess that you made. So my advice to persons that are in PR and would like to clean up a blunder or a problem. For example, if you're having a concert and you find out the day before the concert that the artist is no longer coming, you as a PR professional will have to write a press release, giving a statement, making sure that even though persons may be, your consumer may be upset that the concert has been canceled because tickets have already been bought, vendors have already been, they already paid their slots for them to be out at the venue, and the person that is the main attraction of the event is no longer attending. You as the PR person, your responsibility, for that event is to making sure that the blow of that problem is softened a bit so that it's more in a place where it's understanding for the public to understand. Whether and usually the phrase that is usually used in those press releases is, we are unable to have this artist come in due to circumstances beyond our control. And then you're able to elaborate on how the services of the client is still credible, it's still important, it's still, you're still the number one customer or the number one choice for them, and everybody will be refunded of their ticket funds, and et cetera, for that. Also, scandals. Now, me as a public relations officer, it's not my personal business to get into the personal affairs of the client. But if it comes down to where that personal business is boiling into the business of that client in terms of the company that they own, then that's where I would have to step in and deal with that. Or that's where you would have to step in and handle the situation that will cause the client to be a little bit less at ease. Your responsibility is to never panic when there is a problem. As a public relation or a PR person, you are not supposed to panic. Your responsibility is to have everything under control so that the mind of your client is at ease. Negative comments. You're always going to have people that is going to oppose to a view. You're always going to have someone that's going to oppose to an event, or a line up on an event, or a line up on a conference, or have an issue with a political figure, or have a problem with a brand. You're always going to have negative comments. But as the PR person, your responsibility is to always make sure that you give facts, not your opinions, not your personal feelings, but your facts. Always resort to the information that you've always been advertising for the client in terms of your press releases and what you've been leading out to the media. Make sure that it is credible, make sure it is facts, make sure that it is something that people could say, I am 100% in agree with what the client is saying, so that you're able to quash any long string of scandals, long strings of drama, and back and forth. Once you place those facts, and you know that those facts are credible and they are true, then you have nothing to worry about when it comes to those negative comments. Okay, any questions so far? If you have a question, you could ask your questions before I go into the other half.
Travis, you said something about boosting at a particular time or day. I just wanted clarity on that because I don't remember seeing like those features to do that. So am I missing something or just curious?
Well, on social media, when you're boosting, say, if for you, if you have a speaking engagement that you have to speak to and you would like to advertise that flyer, you can boost the flyer or the event that you would like persons to know about on a particular day and a particular time before you click the boost button. So you would have to look on the feature, and then I could show you after we're done with this feature where you could click the date that you would want on the time that you would want this particular flyer or this particular event to be boosted on social media, so that it every time leading up to the event, every Tuesday or Thursday, you're able to see that event at 12 o'clock or at 1 o'clock or at 11 o'clock.
Okay, cool. I'll definitely hit you up after.
Okay. I see Rodney said, how do you pick up your clients? Networking with clients, and also knowing people that know people. And what I've noticed is how I'm able to get my clients is that if I do a good job with a client, they will refer me to the other client, another potential client or somebody else that may need my services. What I've noticed, excuse me, is that with my clients, small businesses really need PR. The major companies that would like for me to do the major PR and they get their product out, they have the top dollar and the big bucks to do it, and making sure they put up the billboards, and they have a lot of slots on social media for them to advertise whatever it is that they want to advertise. But the small businesses, I understand that when you give them a reasonable price to work with monthly, they have no problem of giving you your service. They have no problem paying you for your services. So that's been a beneficial thing for me. And also, like I said before, advertising on WhatsApp stories, Snapchat, Instagram stories, and also on Facebook stories as well has been a money maker for me, because I give them a reasonable price for me to advertise from Monday to Sunday monthly. I have every day, and that has been a huge money maker for me. And you'd be surprised how many persons would need that extra boost. And also, people to people is also good as well. When you come into contact with people, you're able to tell them about your event. That's also important as well in public relations. I see another card. What would you have done in the case of the young lady who came back from the US who was upset with the arrangements the government made to quarantine them? Oh, that's a very good question. I think that would probably come up under the Ministry of Aviation, and maybe the Ministry of Health. I'll have to find out about that. But in the case like that, with the young lady that was a bit upset about the arrangements, I think it would be important for whoever is the public relations officer for all two of those ministries is to reiterate the importance of keeping safe in COVID-19. Also, reiterating the services that we're giving to them, so that those false accusations towards the government is put to rest. And sometimes you're going to have some difficult situations to deal with. And sometimes you would say, don't even bother with it. Let that just slide over, because we have better things to deal with. And I think possibly that was one of those situations where they chose to not even bother with that. They just left it alone, and it will just blow over. You have to pick your battles. You have to fight your battles, and you have to know which battles to pick, because if you go to the media on a social media platform and you speak to that situation, you may say the wrong thing that may be offensive, and it may lead to totally something else. So if you want to keep things under control and squash things, sometimes you just got to leave things alone, or you just release a statement of what was given to them, so that any false queries or false thinking could be put to rest and it's squashed. Hope that answers your question. These questions are coming in fast. Do you have any issues with persons not wanting to pay your prices or underrating your value for your product? Oh, that's a good question. Um, I'm a very nice guy. I tried not to be unreasonable because I know the times that we're living in. I know the times and the struggles that most small businesses and entrepreneurs go through. So I try not to undervalue myself, but I try not to overprice my services to the point where persons that could be potential clients are, negatively discouraged by coming to me to get their service. So I make sure that the pricing that I have is reasonable to the point where it's not underpriced, but I'm able to make a living. So yeah. Okay, I see Brenda Lee. I joined the Zoom call a bit late, but how do you get into the world of PR? And what does a typical day of work look like for you? Well, that's a good question. Okay. Um, Excellent writing skills. If you are an English major and you love writing, PR is something that you could possibly get into. If you're a journalist, PR is also something that you could get into. If you are in marketing, PR is also something that you could get into as well. So you would have to have good writing skills in terms of making sure, because you can't have poor writing skills and then you're representing a client and you have spelling errors and subject and verb agreement issues in your paragraph. So that's also very important if you want to get into the world of PR. A typical day of work for me would be, it depends on what it is I have to do on a particular day. If I know that my day is going to be hectic, I start 9 o'clock. And sometimes 9 o'clock takes me into 9 p.m. in the evening. Or even sometimes I go from 8 o'clock and it'll take me up to into 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, depending on what it is that I have to do for the clients that I have and for what is coming up at that moment. There are times when I would have 4 press releases that I would have to get out in one day because I would have to meet the deadline of the client and making sure that it is in the media's hand and also it's in the paper by the next day, so that when the client wakes up the next morning, they'll be like, oh, I saw the story in the paper. And then the client is happy and I'm happy and I could get paid. So yeah, that's a typical day for me. Okay, this is coming in from Jonathan Farrington. I've often heard that there is no such thing as bad press. Do you think this is true? Yes, there's no such thing as bad press because guess what? Even though it may be something negative, you're still getting attention. And from what I've noticed today on social media, anything that is negative gets way more press than anything that you would see that is possibly positive. So even if there is a blunder in a PR campaign, bad press is still good press because you're able to clean it up. Even though it's bad, you're still able to clean it up and come back and make it right. So I hope that answers your question. HD, what do you understand as the difference between PR and marketing? On the other hand, how are they interwoven? That's a good question. The difference between PR and marketing. When it comes to PR, it is information that the public needs. When it's marketing, it's something paid for the client to make sure that you're getting up. For example, if there is a campaign for, say, for the Ministry of Health, for persons in the Bahamas to get tested for COVID-19. In advertising and marketing, you may advertise the product that you're using to test on the person, on the people that may come in to be tested for COVID-19. In public relations, you would then give out information on why is it important, what it is the person is doing, how can this benefit you, and what are the end results of you doing it. So that's basically the difference between. Now, sometimes it does intertwine where you have to advertise just as marketing and also in advertising as well. So if you're managing an artist, a music artist, and they have a product. For example, like Julian Believe, who has the new wine called Believe. Marketing and advertising that consists of as well. So in PR, I would have to do a press release, and also I would also have to promote it and advertise it on my social media platforms as well. So it does happen where public relations and advertising does intertwine together. This is another question from Brenda Lee. How has the PR world evolved since you joined compared to where it is now? And how do you stay on the cutting edge? Well, that's a good question. PR has evolved quite a bit. When I was to the counselors, it was a bit, how can I say this? A bit old-fashioned at that time, because social media wasn't really a factor in terms of the proposals that we would put out to send out to the client. We will offer commercials, spots, we will offer press releases, we'll offer them segments on Bahamas Sunrise or You and Your Money, or the public figure will also appear on the Financial Voice or Business Outlook. That would be what would have occurred. But at the latter part of when I left the counselors, I noticed that social media started to pick up as a part of a business in terms of advertising a product, in terms of advertising an event, a public figure, an organization. So technology has advanced quite a bit, and sometimes the old methods are now becoming a bit obsolete. So I hope that answers your question. Oh, she's right. Yeah. Any other questions? You mentioned networking as a part, Anastasia Smith, you mentioned networking as a part of building reach. How do you suggest doing this? It is important that you go to those major events. I notice I would like to go to Hands for Hunger. Sometime in the future, I'd like to go to that because a lot of business professionals are at those events. When you notice that there is an event where it's going to require a lot of people, such as like the food festival, any business cocktail reception, or possibly a Christmas party, or a mix and mingle. Those are the atmospheres and those are the platforms on where you get to network with persons, young professionals, and there are people you would get to meet that you've never come into contact before. So that's usually how you're able to do that. Also, you could just send them a simple message on Facebook and let them know who you are and what your services are and what your expertise. And I'm quite sure they wouldn't have a problem with answering or engaging in conversation once it's something that is important to them, and how that they can benefit from it, and how you could benefit and how they can benefit as well. So I don't see where that's a problem. Do you represent only locally or both? I represent both. I have a client that is based in Hong Kong. She's a jazz singer over there, and I handled her. I handle her PR for here in the Bahamas and also wherever she goes. Akia Knowles is the artist that I manage. She launched her Christmas album and also her music video, and I think some of you may have seen the music video on Cable 12 and ZNS and also Eyewitness News. ILTV as well over the Christmas season. So yeah, she's been a great client for me. Oh, this is a good question from Rodney. Do you believe in doing free work or only paid work early on in the career? When I first started out, I wanted people to know what I could do. I wanted them to see my work. So there were times where I would barter with them for a service, kind of like you scratch my back, I scratch your back. So I was able to do that. Now that I at a place in my career where I'm about 6 years in, 6, 7 years in, I understand my worth now. I understand my value. And sometimes the requirement of the service that they would want of me can be a bit tedious and strenuous. And you'll be like, yeah, I need to be getting paid for this. You have to know your value. You have to know your worth, because there are going to be times where, especially, you have to be careful when you get into business with friends and family, because they may take advantage of your services, and they may be, they may be like, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. And you notice that you have a pile of work to do for them, and it's a lot of work that you're doing for them, and you're not being paid. So you have to set that boundary. You have to set those lines to even your family and the friends that, hey, I'm trying to make a living just as you're trying to make a living. And if you would like my services, there's a fee that you would need to get. Sometimes I would give a discount, and sometimes I just won't. So yeah. Any other questions? Okay, I see a question here. How did you handle your first major event? Were there any blunders? Were you left with lessons, take-home points? Also, when you entered the field, how was the response from other companies that were already making strides in the sense of being considered a rookie? Oh, wow, that's a very, very good question. My first major event under Edgy Management was the Elevation Awards. I was given the responsibility to be the public relations manager for the Elevation Awards. Leading up to the event, I was able to strategically host press conferences, book the media. I was able to reveal the nominees. I was able to reveal the performances. I was able to reveal the ticket sales. I was able to reveal the venue. So that was my major event. Blunders, woo, possible cancellations of artists that may not be able to perform anymore, especially at the 9th hour. That was kind of tough. But my responsibility was to make sure that nobody knew that we were having those issues, or those behind the scenes issues that you would face during an award show. Because there are a lot of times you watch an award show and you will see that, oh my God, this was just an amazing award show, but you just don't know what is going on behind the scenes. So my responsibility was to make sure that everything pertaining to that was smooth, and making sure that anything related to the media information was given out and everybody was informed of everything that was needed for that event. The lessons that I took: plan ahead. Plan ahead. Don't procrastinate. Make sure you reach out to the media in advance so that they have sufficient time to find a slot to place your story of what it is that you're trying to advertise or what you're trying to promote. The next question: when you entered the field, how was the response from other companies that were already making strides? Here's the lesson that I learned. In public relations, I learned that humility is key. And it doesn't make any sense me being this nasty, rude, obnoxious person that just arrived. And I'm in the game now, and you must listen to me, or you must come to me, and I know everything. It doesn't make sense. I've learned that humility is key when you're dealing with public relations. And God has blessed me to connect with a lot of people in the media where if I ask them, or if I say that I need a certain story to go out, or if I need something to be promoted, they've been able to graciously done it, whether it's the Punch, whether it's the Tribune, whether it's the Guardian, or any other media outlet. They've graciously allowed me to do that. So humility is key. I think it cares to have good work ethics and in being professional, no matter how hostile a reporter may be towards you, no matter how hostile a client may be towards you. It's always excellent to maintain that professionalism and keep a calm demeanor when in terms of dealing with the customer, because at the end of the day, even though you may be in the wrong or the client may be in the wrong, it's how you handle the situation and how you handle yourself in that situation that would still attract a potential client that may be watching from a distance. And they will be like, I still like how this person handled this situation, even though they were maybe in the wrong, or even though the client was in the wrong, they handled this professionally. So that's the approach I take when it comes to dealing with public relations with clients and also the media as well. What are some of the new projects that you're working on now that you're able to mention? Oh, wow. Yeah, I have two of those, and I'm still not able to mention those as well. Um, with Edgy Management, I was able to also start a company called Edgy Lyrics, where I do have a songwriting company that's attached to Edgy Lyrics. Because sometimes a client may need me to write a jingle or a commercial. So Edgy Lyrics is attached to Edgy Management, and I've been able to write jingles and commercials. I also was able to write a chorus for Carissa Smith, her song Get Gone, that some people may know about. I'm one of the co-writers on that with her on that. So I was able to attach Edgy Management and Edgy Lyrics together, and I'm able to merge those together. I have a TV program that's coming up in the future. I can't really talk about it as yet, but I'm really excited about it. It's going to be different. It's something that persons wouldn't really expect from me. So I want you to tune in and look out for that, and you may hear about it in the next few months to come. Let me see if I can get these questions. What are some of your community service is important to your company and clients in any rich organization? Yes, community service is important. Any opportunity that I have in terms of giving back, I do it. A lot of times, because I'm heavily in the church and I'm heavily in the gospel community, I'm always offering my services in terms of what I could do in terms of reaching out to the youth. Youth is a big part of my life. I am the director of the Abundant Life Youth Choir, and I take the time to pour into them, apart from me just teaching them songs and teaching them notes. I'm also able to pour into them as well. I also do speaking engagements as well to schools. I've spoken to Kingsway Academy. I've spoken to Sadie Curtis. I've also taught to St. Thomas More. I've spoken to a class at Temple Christian, E.P. Roberts. I've done quite a few schools that I've been able to pour into. I love pouring into the next generation, and it's been a huge part of my life, and I absolutely love it. Next question. How tough was it to go full time into your business and walk away from a traditional 9-to-5? Woo! Okay. Before I got into Edgy Management, I was working at Family Guardian as a client services coordinator. The job was good, the pay was good, the benefits were good, but as a creative, I was going crazy because I felt as if it was the same thing over and over and over again. And for me, by the time I hit the third month of when I started, I was ready to leave the company because I knew that this wasn't what I wanted, but it's what I needed at that time. And I had to pray a lot. I can tell you right now, my mom was furious with me for leaving my job, and other persons were furious and upset with me for leaving my 9-to-5 job at that time. But I had to go with my heart, and I had to go with my dream, because I want to wake up in the morning every day to enjoy what I do. I want to wake up in the morning enjoying the work in terms of making my clients happy and knowing that the work that I've done has brought some enhancement or some growth to their brand, their company or their organization or their business. So it was a difficult decision. And it does require saving. It does require depriving yourself from the things that you would say the fine things in life or the things that you would want to enjoy. You have to make sacrifices. There are major sacrifices that you have to make in order for you to maintain the goal of where you want your company to reach in the next 2 or 5 years or 10 years. So it was difficult for me to walk away, but I wouldn't really sacrifice that. I don't regret working at Family Guardian. I thoroughly enjoyed that experience for the time that I was there. But I had to follow my dreams. If I didn't follow my dreams, I would have been very, very unhappy. How do you handle damage control for your clients? Well, first of all, I would have to find out from the client what is the problem, what is the issue. I would have to find out from the client what it is that they need me to do. And then after that, I would advise them on how to go about it. Whether they do a press conference, whether they do make a statement, whether they appear on a radio station, whether they do an exclusive to distract the negativity and bring some kind of positive outcome of the negative. So that's basically how I would handle a damage control situation. Next question. Have you, oh, this is from Brentley. How have you grown in the area of professional? Have you ever felt like you were in over your head? Are there any companies or professionals that you look up to on the days when you are under the most pressure and feel like throwing in the towel? What is your motivation? Oh, wow, that's a really, really good question. Reading has really enhanced my work ethics. Research has also enhanced my work ethics in terms of my profession. Also, making sure that I'm aware of what's going on around me, whether it's world news, whether it's local news, whether it's business, whether it's legal, whether it's crime, whether it's entertainment, whether it's the arts, whatever it is, I make sure that I engage in it. I make sure that I'm well informed. So in the event that a potential client comes to me, I could know what I'm talking about. I have some kind of idea on the particular issue, and I'll be like, yeah, I heard about that, or I read about that. So it's important that you constantly keep updated on what is going on, but pertaining to what's happening around you. Are there any companies or professions that you look up to? Like I said before, the counselors has been a stepping stone in my career. I will forever be grateful for them because I learned so much while at my time there. No, there's not really a company or now professionals. I would say Valdez Russell. I really look up to him. He's really, really good PR. I also look up to Rogan Smith, and I also look up to a lady who I call my sister, Sasha Lightborn. Those three are the persons that I look up to. They've been really, really good in pouring into me and letting me know when I'm doing something wrong or when I'm doing something right, or when they see that something needs to change. They have no issues coming to me, and I have no problems with them reprimanding me or telling me that I should change this or do something differently. So those three, I really, 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 really love their words of advice that they poured into me over the years. Oh yes, the last part of the question. On the days when you are under the most pressure and you feel like throwing in the towel, what is your motivation? My faith in God is huge. I'm a firm believer in Jesus Christ. So prayer is a major factor in my life. He has gotten me through quite a bit. In terms of throwing in the towel, absolutely. There are days where the weight of the wrath of a client is so heavy to the point where you're just going to feel like, you know what, forget this. I'm not doing this. If they don't want me no more, that's it. And then you have that still small voice inside of you that's able to let you know and tell you, I didn't create you to be a failure. This is the gift that I've given to you, and you are going to walk this out. So that's the inspiration I get on a daily basis in terms of making sure that whatever pressure that I'm taking on a particular day, that I'm able to handle it, and I know that I could put my trust in somebody that can handle the burden, and that's Jesus Christ. So that's how I'm able to handle the pressure and the throwing in the towel moments. There's a question from Chanticleer. With social media is an important tool in this industry, tell us about your favorite platforms and why they are your favorites. Facebook is my favorite platform because I've noticed that people like when I post and crack jokes. What I've learned and how I get through my day dealing with PR, because I know that my job requires me to do a lot, sometimes I have to take those small breaks throughout the day and I just make a funny and post it on social media. And surprisingly, because of me doing that, it caused me to have this following where everything I post, people follow me in the hundreds. So I'm grateful for that because I'm able to advertise my work and also be myself and intertwine the both of them together on a daily basis on my Facebook platform. And information is able to get out that way. So it's been working for me and I absolutely love it. Let me see, next question. What would you say to your younger self? What would you say to younger, older persons who would like to be in PR or other non-traditional professionals? Oh, wow, that's a really good question. What would I say to younger Travis? Don't take yourself so seriously. Don't be so hard on yourself. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to cry. Yeah, it's okay to cry. It's okay to not be okay and show it. A lot of times we hide and mask what we're going through. That's basically what I would tell my younger self. What I would say to younger and older persons who would like to be in PR, get as much information, research as much information as you can on PR. Don't just jump into it because you just want to jump into it. It takes time. It takes practice in your writing skills. It takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of experience in terms of getting into it and allowing persons who have been in the field before you to let you know. Be open to criticism. Be open to advice. Don't always think that whatever the person that's been in the field longer than you is attacking you or they're shutting you down because they're older and you're younger. Embrace it. They know what's best and they will give you the advice that you need. And I don't think they would stray you because they've been in this field long enough and they've been successful at it. So be open. Okay. And that is the end of my presentation. I would like to thank all of you for being a part of this. To my friends that joined in, thank you so much. I want to thank Stefan Sands. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this class. If you have any more questions, you could side message me. You could check out my page on Facebook, Edgy Management, and you can inbox me there. If you need to WhatsApp me, my number is 467-1936. You can WhatsApp me on that and call me if you need any information or you want my services. I'm open, please call me. But thank you so much for tuning in.
Hey Travis, great presentation. Like he said, thank you to all of those that joined us, and we'll see you guys here tomorrow for another set of courses with the Bridge Masterclass. Thanks again, Travis. Enjoy your
Thank
night.
you.